two worlds can coexist and how they can coexist.
It's a biologic thing.
I mean, I think they they absolutely can coexist. I think that to kind of maybe some Cherie's piece of the talk, it's kind of like you went through 12 steps, you're sober. What's your intention? Like, what are you hoping to improve? What are you hoping to get more out of by engaging this type of work? And then I think you're also like kind of dead on the money is that, you know, it's called ecstasy on the street because it's euphoric, not because it produces a lot of bad trips for people, right? And it is a psychostimulant. It does have that dopaminergic type of effect. And MDMA is not really the type of drug where people fall into a use pattern using every daily, but using high drugs on a high dose on a weekly basis is a kind of, you know, underground, you know, dance club or nightlife type of pattern of use that can emerge sometimes. So yeah, probably, you know, if I was, you know, sober, had a history of using dopaminergic drugs like stimulants or maybe cocaine or something like that, and was wanting to use a psychedelic with an intention of further healing, I would probably move towards the like psilocybin, like something that doesn't really have that stimulant backbone to it at all. Because, but I think that they are compatible with each other. I mean, the person that founded the 12-step program, you know, originally kind of found God through an LSD experience, and you know.
It is also important to note that psychedelics are not addictive, and in fact, they are also shown to be supportive of addictions in the sense that they reveal to the person the root cause of their addiction and the root cause of their behavior. And with ongoing work and integration support, can also help the individual reframe their lives in a way that they want to live it. So a lot of people find their highest self, their own God, through psychedelics, and then revitalize their lives. And yeah, and there are actually some groups, especially in our community. I mean, we get this question all the time. People that have been in the 12-step programs, they come into our circles and they ask, you know, I'm curious about this, but I'm not, if anyone in my community finds out that I'm here, they're never going to let me in again. So there's a big cultural and community component to it. So what we aim to do with the community is to have an alternative to communities that shun you unless you adhere to these rules. So, so the community aspect as well is very important. Thank you.
I have a question. In regards to MDMA, how many milligrams are they administering in these cases, in these like pilot studies?
So the dosing range that they've done is for an initial dose between 75 and 125 milligrams, and then between 1.5 and 2.5 hours into the experience, they offer a booster that is exactly 50% of the original dose. So if you got 125 off the bat, they'll offer you a booster of 62.5. That's 75 off the bat. It offered a booster of 37.5. The booster is optional, but to my knowledge, most people do take the booster. So you're looking at between 112 to 187.5 milligrams of MDMA for an experience.
And in regards to that, I know that you mentioned that there's a depletion of serotonin, but what about like losing neuronal connections? Because I remember like being a kid and everyone would be like, oh, you're going to lose
right, there was some MRI scans that were shown on Oprah that turned out to be like weighted inappropriately as far as reading, that basically looked like ecstasy ate holes in your brain and was like permanently damaged to serotonin neurons. As far as like neurologic studies, they've studied MDMA up to 1.7 milligrams per kilogram. So if you're a 100 kilogram or 220-pound adult, that would be 170 milligrams. And they have not found any type of signal for serotonin neuron loss. On the flip side, people that use MDMA or ecstasy really in large amounts on kind of a weekly basis, and I say ecstasy because it's often cut with things like speed or amphetamine, they have found kind of longer term neuroimaging effects where it does seem like serotonin neurons are affected. So I think kind of the key to MDMA is finite exposures, spaced at least a month apart, and using high-grade substances is probably, because there is probably a point where it becomes neurotoxic, but at moderate doses, spaced at least a month apart, the risk seems fairly minimal.
Yeah, last question.
Can an MFT face a legal or ethical issue referring a client to an integration coach?
Can you please repeat?
Can an MFT face legal or ethical issue referring a client to an integration coach?
Sure. I don't see why not.
So is it
Maybe I can.
She's asking, like, if she's an MFT and someone comes to her and asks about, like, hey, I want to use some
Oh, I see.
psychedelics,
Okay.
is there some type of ethical or legal issue referring them to a psychedelic integration coach?
Well, this is actually a topic that we wanted to discuss in the ethical conversations, and the idea behind safe and ethic behavior in the therapeutic setting is to offer resources, but also not offer resources to anything that is illicit. So you can quote research, you can talk about things that are happening in the culture, you can talk about the books, you can talk about everything that we've talked about here pretty much, as long as you're not offering direct advice and telling them what to do with the substance, then yes, it is, you can definitely refer to other resources. You can also refer them to psychedelic communities that exist exactly for this purpose.